Gateway International Raceway is just across the river from St. Louis. Welcome to the Super 8 pre-race show. It's the 10th race of the 2004 NASCAR Busch Series schedule. Our front row starters tonight, a 24-year-old from New Jersey, Martin Truex Jr., his third pole of this young season, alongside a 45-year-old former Busch Series champion, David Green. Jeff Hammond is with our pole sitter.
That's right, I'm right here with that 24-year-old phenomenon, Martin Truex. Martin, this is kind of like your format from the weeknights or weekends when you used to race back home, and get qualified, line them up, and race them.
Yeah, it sure is. Feels like I'm back in the Busch North Series, and car's real good, just like it was back then. You know, we've got the pole and, you know, fastest on the practices, and Taco Bell Chevy's been awesome all day, so hopefully we can lead the most laps, get the most points, and win the race. That's what we're here for.
Well, let's go on down to somebody who wants to try to make a victory lane appearance also, and he's with our Dr. Dick Berggren.
And that's David Green. Will start tonight on the outside of the front row. Best qualifying effort of the year so far for David. Best ever qualifying effort here at this racetrack. What can we expect to see tonight?
My best effort ever here at St. Louis tonight. This Timberwolf Chevrolet / Pontiac is going to win this race tonight right here in Anheuser-Busch country. We're thankful for those folks, Timberwolf, everybody involved. But this is such a neat racetrack, Dick. Shifting, downshifting, upshifting, little body slapping here, there, and yonder, and the whole racetrack's totally different. You got to stay on your game, almost like a road course. But got to say Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there, my mom Jane and my grandmother Elsie, and everybody involved. Happy Mother's Day.
And he's driving a car tonight called Gold Rush, Steve Burns.
All right, thanks, Dick Berggren. Earlier this morning, about 10 o'clock, some anxious moments. Derek Cope in the 49 car hit the wall hard. He had to be cut from his race car, airlifted to a local hospital. He is alert. He'll be held overnight for observation. But good news for Derek Cope. Hi, everybody. Happy Mother's Day weekend. Steve Burns alongside Larry McReynolds. And, well, I guess those guys we heard from pretty much summed it up. It's a difficult day, a one-day show on a difficult racetrack.
But what makes it difficult, not so much as a one-day show, it's the fact when these guys qualified the cars and came off the racetrack, NASCAR impounded them. They sat on pit road for about 2 to 3 hours, and NASCAR would let 2 or 3 crew members, one team at a time, go out there and just make slight adjustments. You could not raise the hood, you could not jack the car up. So during those practice sessions this morning, the real challenge for these drivers, these crew chiefs, and these teams, they had to work on race setup and on qualifying setup. And then, of course, now the challenge begins because it is the Busch Series. And every time the caution comes out, these guys only, over the course of the night, 250 miles has 3 sets of tires to work with. That's always a challenge in the Busch Series.
And just about every driver you talk to calls this place a little Darlington. It's an edge-shaped oval, 1.25 miles, and you're going to see some great racing. The Super 8 pre-race show continues from Gateway right after this. The largest man-made monument in the United States, the arch built in the mid-1960s, the Gateway to the West. We're right across the Mississippi River at the Gateway International Raceway. Welcome back to the Super 8 pre-race show from Gateway, the 10th race of the NASCAR Busch Series schedule here tonight. Let's take a look at the point standings. There's a log jam in the top 5. They're separated by just 90 points. Michael Waltrip is your points leader. And let's check in with Dick Berggren, the editor of Speedway Illustrated magazine.
Thanks, Steve. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is going to start 9th tonight, but it's not where you start that matters, it's where you finish. And every time he has come to Gateway, he has finished better than the race before. Last year you were 5th. What can we expect tonight?
Hopefully a win, definitely a top 3 car. I can run with the 8, I can run with the 60, I can pass the 8, I can pass the 60. So we get some decent pit stops, got a great stall, got us a slow car in front of us, have an open and out of the pit stall. So with the Marines Ford ought to be good, and grow some horns tonight, get some short track racing, and we go over and get this thing.
All right, let's go to Jeff Hammond.
Well, guys, I've caught up with Michael Waltrip, the point leader right now. Michael, man, your average finish this year has been pretty phenomenal right now. Tonight, totally different new racetrack for you. How was that dream machine?
It wasn't too good all day, and Jerry got together with Bono, who's parked right next to us, and kind of ask him for some information, and we changed all kinds of stuff on the car right before we qualified. And it was crazy loose when I qualified, Jeff, but it felt like the front end was actually aiming in the right direction for the first time today. So hopefully that feeling was correct, and we've got it heading in the right direction.
He's hoping to hang on that point lead up there, guys.
Well, Jeff, South Bend, Indiana has been known as the home of the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, but it's also being known as the home of that guy, 26-year-old David Stremme, in his second year of Busch Series competition. Let's meet him.
I'm David Stremme from South Bend, Indiana. I'm 26 years old, driver of the X32 Trim Spot Dodge, looking for my first victory in the NASCAR Busch Series. I actually drove a pink car. It was the very first car I drove. Both my parents raced, and they still do, and my mom had an extra car, and I got in it and run fairly well until the other drivers were complaining enough that I didn't have my driver's license. So I had to wait till I turned 16 and got my own car, but I've raced against my mom probably more than anybody out of the family, and she beat me quite a bit. I'd say my strength is being able to communicate with the crew and be involved as far as with the chassis tuning part, because I grew up working on my own cars, understanding the mechanical side of it. Weakness, I would say, sometimes I probably race too hard and overdrive the car, and I have to calm myself down, and I think too much about the mechanical side of it and just need to worry more about driving, and that's something I'm learning in the Busch Series. A lot of people don't realize this team has only been put together a little over 2 months, so we're still building cars. We haven't done hardly any testing. We're just trying to play catch-up, and I think it's just going to take time. We have to be smart and learn together as a team, and it's a lot about communication. But again, a lot of people from Chip Ganassi organizations helped out, and I think that's what's helped with my success this early in the season. And I feel we can run better. It's just a matter of time. And going into Nashville, it's a place I've raced at before, and I have confidence going in there because I don't have to search around and worrying about trying to find a line. And it's one thing for a driver to explain to you until you actually get out there. Thought we had a good run going, running fourth. I get hit in the back and stuffed into the Bristol wall, and the right front tire's in the dash, very limited steering, and I go down and I take out my old car that I was driving last year, Johnny Benson. It was a misfortune on his side of it, but I learned a lesson from some stuff. Shouldn't have been driving as fast with the car tore up. Haven't talked to Kevin Harvick to get his side of it yet, and I'm still not happy about it. And it is a long season. I really look up to a lot of drivers. I don't forget where I come from, and it's something that I don't ever want to. And I look at, there's a lot of drivers that are still like that. Tony Stewart's a good example. I mean, I look up to Tony a lot because of how he handles himself, and he's a racer, and he runs hard. The Cup guys come to Busch Series, and it makes it a lot tougher to run, and you have to make yourself stronger to be able to beat them guys. And I always like it when they come and race against us, the Busch Series, because I can rate myself against them, and it's something that, I enjoy it. But again, I don't want to get pushed around, and I'm looking at a big picture, and hopefully I can go to Nextel Cup, and I'm going to have to show them, I'm not going to get pushed around.
St. Louis is a big sports town, home to the Rams, the Cardinals, the Blues, and that guy in the middle of your picture, Joe Buck, the voice of Major League Baseball and the NFL on Fox. He spoke with our Mike Steve Pack, our Foxbox operator, earlier today.
We're a beer keg throw away from St. Louis, home of Anheuser-Busch, Ted Drew's Frozen Custard, and our favorite play-by-play guy, Joe Buck. Joe, you're a fanatical fan of racing, but you got a special reason to be here tonight.
I do, and that is to start this race. I am going to wave the green flag today, this evening, which is something that I think anybody would get a kick out of.
What have you done to prepare for this task?
It's not the question. The question is, what haven't I done? I've done everything possible. I've done a lot of forearm curls. I've done things that that I didn't expect to do, but I am ready to go. I am going to rip this flag up.
Have you had a track bar adjustment?
I have, and it felt good.
We're going to check on Joe a little bit later, but right now, back up to Steve Burns.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. And Larry Mack, the question is, will Joe Buck utter those famous words, boogity, boogity, boogity?
Well, I don't know. I think He needs to stay away from racing terms. We always look forward to doing the Daytona 500 on Fox. This offseason, Joe Buck will be doing the World Series and the 2005 Super Bowl on Fox.
And we'll be right back with a Super 8 pre-race show.
Hey, Mom, I love you very much. I know tomorrow's going to be a great Mother's Day. We're going to be together as a family. See you then.
I'm Bobby Hamilton Jr., driving the 25 Marines car. I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, including mine and also my wife.
Hi, I'm Kenny Wallace, and I want to wish my mother, Judy Wallace, a happy Mother's Day. I love you, Mom.
Welcome back to the Super 8 pre-race show, and of course all of us here at FX and Fox Sports echo those sentiments. Happy Mother's Day, and let's go now to Dick Berggren.
Well, last weekend at the California Speedway, Greg Biffle had a very eventful race day for sure. First, problems with oil pressure. At the end of the straightaway, the oil pressure was fluctuating, put more oil in the car. That fixed that problem. Then a little bit later, on a 100-degree day, the vent for his helmet flew off inside the car. Hot air blowing up, hitting him in the face. Then, with 10 to go, he ran out of gas. So you know what Biffle did? Won the race. Now tonight, you're starting in third spot. Is this going to be any easier than it was last weekend?
Man, I certainly hope so. It sounded pretty tough from what you were saying there, but yeah, it's, you know, the guys have done a good job. I think they got the charter car really prepared this week, really good. And, you know, those guys won't ever give up. And, you know, everybody's working hard. And we had some problems last week, but we got a good car for this week. We haven't been here in 2 years, but we got a really good track record here at St. Louis. So we're hoping to pick up another win. Be nice back-to-back wins and no cup race this weekend. So it'd be nice to have the weekend off.
When the car stays under this guy, he is up front. Steve?
All right, thanks, Dick. Now, last weekend, the action was in California. Tony Stewart in that orange number 20 into Rusty Wallace. Rusty Wallace didn't like that. Stanton Barrett hard into the wall. He's okay. He's in the field tonight. Kurt Busch off the wall, also into Rusty Wallace. At the end of the race, fuel mileage came into play. Bobby Labonte in that green car wiggles. He's out of petrol. But Jeff Gordon motors on to his 66th career win at Fontana, the California Speedway. The action shifts next weekend. We'll be there with you to the Richmond International Raceway, racing under the lights, Larry Mack.
No fuel mileage, no aero, under the lights Friday night and Saturday night. This is the last short track for the Nextel Cup cars in the first half of the season. It'll be 3.5 months before they get each other again. And as we saw there in the fall, I'm sure somebody's going to be mad at each other on Friday night. I'm sure again on Saturday night. But the big element, new asphalt, new pavement, lots of grip. Track record's going to be blown all to pieces on qualifying day.
It's a good track for Tony Stewart. And there's our pole sitter for tonight's race, Martin Truex Jr. Now, as we said, next weekend, NASCAR returns to Richmond for another full weekend of racing action. Thursday, it's Busch Series qualifying on speed. Friday, it's Bud Pole qualifying on speed, followed by NASCAR Nextel Cup practice on FX. Then NASCAR Busch Series Racing presented by Johnsonville. Next Saturday, the world's best drivers return to FX for NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing with a Chevrolet American Revolution 400. NASCAR returns next weekend across the Fox networks, and the Super 8 pre-race show continues on FX. We'll be right back. Monday pre-race show continues from the Gateway International Raceway just outside of St. Louis. We're getting set for 200 laps of racing on this 1.25-mile speedway. Now, after last weekend's race in Fontana, the Kyle Petty Charity Ride Across America headed east. And as we speak on the air, that ride is nearing its end at the Victory Junction Gang Camp in North Carolina. Our Matt Yoakum was along for the ride and has this report.
What a transformation from just a lot of rolling hills to wow.
Yeah, the whole place looks kind of like Daytona, USA. And when you say camp, people think, oh, log cabins, screen porches, you know, sing around the campfire, kumbaya, that kind of thing. So we kind of had to regroup, and so we finally took some pictures of Daytona, USA and said, copy this, copy what they did at Daytona, USA. And that's why you see the architecture and the way the buildings work.
What's it going to take each year to keep this camp, really theme park, rolling along for the campers?
It takes a lot of people. It really does. You know, it takes a lot of volunteers. You know, it takes the campers, obviously. You got to get kids to come. If you don't have kids coming, there's no reason to have a camp. And that's a big deal for us right now, is to get enough campers to come. Monetarily, it'll be somewhere between $2 and $3 million a year. We hope to build an endowment. The charity ride really started this in a lot of ways. We started doing the charity ride, like I've said 10 million times, as kind of a lark, and then started going to children's hospitals, and kind of really, you know, just fell in love with going to children's hospitals. And then Adam started doing Star Bright World, and doing some stuff with Sprint, and he kind of fell into the same zone. And you know, to have the charity ride be such a huge part, you know, I think Adam would have enjoyed that part of it.
So tell me about the race car.
Okay, the race car is, you know, we fought pretty hard for the race car, because a lot of people kept saying we can't build a building like that. It can't be done. You can't build a building that looks like a car. Obviously, you can build a building that looks like a car, and I think they've done a phenomenal job.
What do you think he would say if he was walking through here right now?
He'd be mad about the car. He'd be mad about the car. He'd be mad.
Why?
Because he would think that was a little bit arrogant for us to put his car up here.
So you told me 4 years ago that was your biggest thing, that you wanted to make sure that people remembered him and his smile and his personality. And what better place that you're going to have endless years of happiness?
Yeah, it's like I've said, you know, for me, you know, I think if every kid leaves with a little bit of Adam's smile, then that'll be a big deal. And if every kid knows that the reason they're here is because of Adam, then that'll be a big deal. So this kind of brings it all together just like that.
4 years ago, this weekend, we lost Adam Petty, and Larry McReynolds. That camp is a wonderful tribute to him and a wonderful cause for chronically ill children.
Well, and I think just to emphasize what Kyle was talking about there, everybody thinks now that the camp is built and done that the cost is over. The cost is just starting. As he said, $2 to $3 million to keep that camp going. I know we beat Tony Stewart up about his driver annex here lately, but pat on the back to him. He donated $1 million last year to get this camp going.
Larry, let's go trackside for our invocation.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to give tonight's invocation, we'd like to introduce Captain William Holman of the Salvation Army of Belleville, Illinois.
Thank you very much. Will you pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you and we are just thankful for your blessings upon this day. We pray that you would bless each driver as they participate in today's race. We pray that you would protect each crew member as they work on the cars and in the pits. And we just pray for every person that has come here this afternoon and this evening. And we would just pray that you would bless each life and strengthen them. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to sing our national anthem, country music artist Diamond Rio.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, Diamond Rio.
For the Charter 250 here at the Gateway International Raceway. We're drawing close to the green flag. We'll be back to Gateway right after this on FX. Happy Mother's Day weekend, everybody. Welcome to the Gateway to the West, the Arch in St. Louis. We're just across the Mississippi River at the Gateway International Raceway, preparing for the 10th race of the 2004 NASCAR Busch Series schedule. Let's go to the editor of Speedway Illustrated, Dick Berggren.
For emotional highs and lows, it's hard to beat this place. Last year in this race, Ashton Lewis won the pole. First pole of his entire career, was running just great up in the front of the pack when he crashed. Then Mike Bliss looked like a first-time winner, crossed under the white flag, leading, ran out of gas. Those are the lows. But a couple of years before that, in year 2000, Kevin Harvick won for the very first time in NASCAR's Busch Series. Highs and lows, we got him, Jeff Hammond.
That's right, Dick. But tonight, this race right here, it's going to be one down here on pit road. Definitely, the jackmen, the tire changers are going to have a factor, but more importantly, it's the guys that sit up on top of these boxes that'll make the decisions to try to keep up with this ever-changing racetrack under these cooler conditions. If they make the right call, well, they've got a chance to go to victory lane.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Burns alongside Larry McReynolds, and Jeff Hammond just said it. This is a tough racetrack, a 1.25-mile egg-shaped oval, and it's going to be changing.
Well, and I mean, that's it. The ends are different. Turn 1 and 2 is very, very tight. 3 and 4 is very sweeping. If you give your driver what he's looking for through 1 and 2, and it's turning good, he's probably going to be very loose in 3 and 4. And because you can pick up the throttle much earlier in 3 and 4 than 1 and 2 to optimize the RPMs and speed down these straightaways, these guys will be shifting, something they're not used to doing, something you do at a road course, but they will be shifting most of the night here to maximize the speed on both these straightaways.
And it's been a one-day show, Larry Mack. We've practiced, we've qualified, and now we're ready to race.
Yeah, and again, they impounded these race cars, and these guys did not have that 3 or 4 hours that they have on race morning. A lot of races we go to, that checklist they go through, they had about an hour to go through that checklist to make sure everything's right on these race cars to run this 250-mile race.
Well, St. Louis is a great sports town, home to the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Blues, and now it's home to NASCAR Busch Series Racing. Let's go trackside to crank them up.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the most famous words in motorsports. Once again, please welcome our Grand Marshal, United States Congressman Jerry Costello.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Martin Truex Jr., your pole sitter. We're getting ready for 200 laps of racing here at the Gateway International Raceway on a Mother's Day weekend, and we'll be right back. Back at the Gateway International Raceway, it is a warm spring evening here just east of St. Louis. Big crowd on hand getting ready to witness 200 laps of racing. It's the 10th race of the 2004 season. Let's go trackside with Dick Berggren.
An upsetting moment for the outside pole starter, David Green. He got into his race car, buckled in, tried to talk to the crew on the radio, and the radio didn't work. You have to have a radio. NASCAR requires that you have a radio in order to compete. So a crew member ran down the entire length of this long front stretch with a new radio. They put it in the car. At first it didn't work, and then it did. Green is all set. To Jeff.
Well, like everybody else, we want to wish our mothers a very special Mother Day coming up tomorrow. All of us down here on pit road have been thinking about getting home after this race and spending a lot of time with you. Love you, Mom, and be home soon.
Well said, Jeff. We certainly do want to wish all the mothers in NASCAR and all the NASCAR fans out there a very happy Mother's Day. There you see the air temperature 85 degrees, humidity 44 degrees, not too bad, a little bit of wind, but the big thing is going to be the track temperature, and we will monitor that all night long because when these cars qualified in the middle of the afternoon today, it was 120, 130 degrees, didn't have a lot of grip. But Steve, we had 20 cars break the track record. Why? Well, remember, we have the softer tire. Also, this racetrack has been redone, not repaved, but they smoothed it out. And right now, the track temperature is 92 degrees, so you can see
how much cooler it is already, and it will only continue to cool down as the night goes on. That'll pick the speeds up.
As we mentioned, this race is 200 laps, 250 miles. You see your pit road speed. And Larry, let's talk about the pit window. Strategy always important in the Busch Series.
Well, this race always has a way about it of getting some green flag runs at the end. And as we talked earlier in the pre-race, Mike Bliss lost this race a year ago because he came up about a half a lap shy on fuel. So that right there, it can always be a factor anytime you're here at Gateway.
On board with your pole sitter, Mark Truex Jr. as he grabbed his third pole in just 10 races this year, Larry Mack.
Just a phenomenal season. 2 wins, 3 poles as we ride here with Kenny Wallace in the Stacker 2 car.
The hometown hero.
Starting back in 13th.
Kenny grew up 17 miles from this racetrack. We met David Stremme in the pre-race show on board the 32 car. And our points leader, Michael Waltrip.
Starting pretty deep in the field. We talked to him in the pre-race. You heard that he was not very happy with his car in practice, starting back in 20th. Here's Jason Leffler, our pole sitter from last week in Fontana, California. He'll be starting up in the 7th position, row 4.
Larry, you talked about Jason Leffler. He's done a great job of qualifying, and they've run well, but they want to seal the deal tonight and finish a race in that top 5.
Yeah, I mean, his starts, top 5, 3 top 5 starts, now 8 top 10 starts in 2004, but he's not even led a lap this year, even when he sat on the pole last week.
Anxious to see how our Fox play-by-play man for Major League Baseball, there he is, Joe Buck, and the NFL will do in his green flag debut.
Yes, sir. He looks very intense about it, though, right now. There you see the starter giving the 1-to-go signal. We mentioned also in the pre-race that the real strategy Jeff Hammond talked about pit road is cautions. These teams only have 3 sets of tires that they can change on the caution. All year long, we've seen sometimes where you place those tires to put on your car during those cautions can make a difference in the outcome. Now, we also need to mention that Robbie Gordon, who was going to start in the 22nd position, remember, he comes into the race 5th in points. He's going to have to go to the rear of the field because even before practice this morning, but after the car went through inspection, they had an engine problem. Someone actually dropped the nut down through the engine. He had to change that engine, so now he really has a hole to dig out of, making his first Busch Series start here at St. Louis.
As we mentioned in the Super 8 pre-race show, of course, best wishes to Derek Cope. He was in a scary incident in practice. He's alert and being held overnight in a local hospital just for observation.
Now, Gus Watson in the 10 car that qualified in 34th, along with the 49 car that has Josh Richardson in it, but Gus Watson has to go to the rear of the field. He qualified 34th, but why? They had to add water to that car, and that was one of the things that NASCAR said you could not do after qualifying, so they have to go to the rear of the field as well. And Steve Burns, I'll just tell you, reach up there and pull them belts tight one more time. 200 laps, 250 miles of racing here at Gateway.
And there's St. Louis hometown hero himself, Joe Buck. Look how intent he is, Larry. The pace truck is off. We're ready to go racing.
He gets the pat on the back. There he goes. Green flag, green flag. Mark Truex Jr. in that 8 car trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack. David Green slid in behind him. Right now, we know the way around this racetrack is around the bottom. That's where the preferred groove is.
Field safely through turns 1 and 2. Truex Jr. hauls him down the backstretch with David Green and 19-year-old Kyle Busch behind.
I was going to say, Kyle Busch in the 5 car, he got to jump off of turn 2 on the high side of Greg Biffle in the 60 to take that 3rd position.
Off 4, headed back to the start-finish line. Truex Jr. will lead lap number 1.
And as he said in the pre-race, that's 5 bonus points right there for leading the lap. He's already received 40 bonus points this year for leading laps and leading the most laps in some races.
5th race of this young season that that Martin Truex Jr. has led. There's Kyle Busch in the 5 car. He also has led 5 events.
Brand new race car. That team elected to come up here and test for 2 days. Worked on nothing but race setup. We got trouble down in 3 and 4. Caution is out.
Several cars in the wall. Lap 3, first caution out. Clint Boyer in the Richard Childress Racing number 21. Heavy damage to the rear end of that car.
Yeah, this is the same car that he had at Nashville where he was so strong. And look at Billy Parker, Rusty Wallace's car, the 66. A lot of damage to that race car. These guys were back there running somewhere about mid-pack. As you say, a lot of damage to the rear of that car. Of course, what they'll try to do is try to stay on the lead lap, see if they can repair these cars.
Let's take a look at the replay. Parker spinning at the bottom of your screen up into the wall. Hard to see how it actually began.
And what we're hearing on Clint Boyer is he just didn't get a good start. He started 12th, and he already was back to 25th on the first lap.
So we're under caution for the first time this evening here at Gateway International. You're watching Busch Series Racing on FX. Ooh. And back at Gateway International, we're under caution. And there's a unique way to say Happy Mother's Day on a gas can.
It's a good way to get your gas can on television.
Let's watch the very beginning of the race, the green flag, perhaps get some perspective. Larry, Clint Boyer to the left
there
of your
you see
screen.
him right there. Yeah, he started back in 12th. We had just talked before break where he had fell back to 25th. He just didn't get a start. It's almost like he maybe missed a shift, spun the rear tires or something. Now this is what happened going over to turn 3, and it looks like that Billy Parker in the 66 just maybe clipped the grass, and then everyone else was a victim. He got into Paul Menard, the 33 car, who ended up getting into Clint Boyer, and then Travis Geisler comes along, and he just gets into Billy Parker as well in the 36 car.
Now this is the start of the race on board with Kenny Wallace.
And for some reason, the 21 car Clint Boyer just did not get going.
There's the damage to Clint Boyer.
And as we always talk about every week, that's a pretty critical area. Even at a 1.25 mile racetrack where that rear spoiler is bolted onto that deck lid, you want to make sure you don't get it down too low. But the biggest thing they have to make sure, NASCAR is going to make sure that deck lid is good and secure.
Billy Catfish Parker has gone to the garage. We're under caution here at Gateway International. We'll be back with a restart here on FX right after this. Back at Gateway, the pace truck is off. Martin Truex Jr. getting set to restart this race. Larry Mack, I need to correct myself. This is actually the 7th race that Truex Jr. has led this year.
I know he has led a bunch. Of course, it's a single file restart since there's no lap cars. Greg Biffle really didn't get going very good in the 60 car. In fact, Ron Hornaday in that 2 car, typical Ron Hornaday Jr. restart. He goes by Greg Biffle to take over 4th, but Dick Bergman, something's going on with Greg Biffle's car. He may have a flat left rear tire, Larry. Biffle did want to come in and change it under that caution period. Crew chief Brad Parrott thinks it is just low tire pressure. Biffle right now taking it easy, hoping that tire's okay, but they're not sure. Yeah, of course, Dick, they start the air pressure so low on these cars because they know they're going to gain so much air pressure over a long run. And I'm sure the other thing Brad Parrott was interrogating Biffle about is make sure those tires were hot, that you didn't pick up some rubber if you got up in the second groove. Makes it feel like you've got a flat tire.
And Larry, I have actually seen drivers come to pit road, get 4 tires changed in the next Cup Series, and there not be a problem with the tire. They feel that there is.
Been there, done that many times, make Larry mad. Mad man.
Bad Larry. Hornaday Jr. and Kyle Busch battling. Battle for 3rd. Hornaday has it.
You know, this is a racetrack that we expected Ron Hornaday in that 2 car to really run well at. He runs good at Nazareth. He won the race there a year ago, and this place has a lot of characteristics of the Nazareth Speedway.
Biffle has a 2nd place finish at this racetrack. David Rudiman in the 87, Mike Bliss in the 20, battle for 13th. David Green in the 37 pulls up alongside or behind Truex Jr.
Of course, this is the 3rd and 4th place man in points. Martin Truex Jr. 3rd in points. David Green, after that finish at Fontana last week, 4th in the points. But I tell you, they're going to have their hands full, I believe, with that blue number 2 car here shortly, Ron Hornaday.
Tight pack headed down the backstretch into turn 3. Hornaday finished 2nd here in 2002, was 6th in 2000, and had a top 5 had a transmission tear out late in the race. He led 141 laps here, Larry Mack, back in 2002.
Yeah, I mean, he's always ran well here, whether it's in the Busch car or in the Craftsman Truck Series. He's always had a good run. Starting to work that second groove just a little bit, especially down there in the middle of turn 1 and 2.
And Larry Mack, Kevin Harvick won 2 races here in the Busch Series. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won 2 races. They both had that AC Delco paint scheme.
They've been very used to victory lane here, AC Delco.
This is the 8th race for the NASCAR Busch Series here at Gateway International. Whoa! David Green gets sideways, and he had help from Hornaday.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I think Ron Hornaday was quicker, and he got a little impatient there in 3 and 4, just kind of did the little bump and run as they come off turn 4, goes into 2nd place. Hey, what good run for Jason Keller in that 22 car, sitting there running 5th. But he always runs well here. He has 5 top 5 finishes. He's the only driver here that has competed in all 7 of the Busch races here.
Larry, it's hard to believe that Keller is 6th in points, but still doesn't have a top 5 this season.
A lot like Jason Leffler. He's not led a lap in 2004. Riding with Jason Leffler back in the 6th position in that 0-0 car.
And Larry, we've heard about drivers talking about shifting here.
Yeah, and we're going to go through that a little bit tonight. We're going to watch some of these drivers because, once again, you pick up the throttle so late off turn 2, and in the motor, you want to be in a lower gear. Now, let's ride right here. We're riding with Kenny Wallace in the 23 car. Now, this is coming off turn 4 down the front straightaway. He should be in high gear right now, and he probably will not change here on the front straightaway. But let's stay with him down into turn 1 and 2. I think he may have downshifted right there to 3rd gear. Now let's see if he shifts to high. All right, right there. And he did a speed shift. In other words, he basically didn't use the clutch. He shifted by RPMs, and that lets you maximize the RPMs on both straightaways. Now we'll ride with him right here, right now, looking over at him. You notice that down the straightaway, relaxes just a little bit, checks that rearview mirror. This is down the front stretch. Now we're watching down here in 1 and 2, see if he reaches up there and pulls it back to 3rd gear. There you go, grabs 3rd gear, off turn 2, up the back straightaway, checks his mirror, about halfway up it, he's gonna grab high gear, just a quick shift, and he'll pull high gear the rest of the way around. These guys are pulling about a 457 or 464 rear end gear. When they go to 3rd, it's underdrive. It's like a conventional 4-speed. They'll have like about a 490 or 496 in 3rd gear. That helps the RPMs off of turn 2, where the motor bogs so much.
Martin Truex Jr. has led all 17 laps here this evening at Gateway, followed by Ron Hornaday Jr. in the 2 car. Kyle Busch in the 5 rides 3rd, followed by David Green and Jason Keller.
And of course, Martin Truex Jr. making his first Busch start here at Gateway. Because of that, Kevin Mannion, the group decided to come up here and test. I believe we have Mike Wallace in the 4 car, coasting very slowly down the back straightaway. So far, we stay under green. You enter pit road on an excess road over turn 3, so he will definitely make it to pit road, but it's definitely in trouble with that race car.
Casey Atwood in the 14, Casey Kane in the 38. Battle for 9th. Kane takes it. And Larry, just to pay off the Mike Wallace story, it's been a tough night for the Wallace brothers so far. Of course, Rusty Wallace's driver, Billy Catfish Parker's in the garage, victim of a lap 3 wreck. We saw Mike Wallace slow to the garage, so Kenny Wallace has to carry the banner.
Herman the German, he's the man right now, sitting there right now. Just went by Mike Bliss for the 14th position. We'll ride with him right here again. There you see, that's the middle of turn 1 and 2, up to 3rd gear.
Great shot of Kenny Wallace on board. Martin Truex Jr. heads to the start-finish line. He's led every lap so far. We'll be right back to Gateway. This is the 8th time the NASCAR Busch Series has raced at Gateway. In your Stacker 2 track fact, the race has never been won by the pole sitter. However, Martin Truex Jr. has led every lap tonight from the pole. Under caution for the second time, the 36 car driven by Travis Geisler, a one-car spin to the garage.
Yeah, I mean, remember, Travis was involved in that earlier incident with Billy Parker and Paul Menard and Clint Boyer. He was running back in the 30th position when he, I think, got in trouble down in turn 1 and 2. But Dick Berggren, I'm curious about Greg Biffle and maybe that possible flat left rear. Don't look flat to me.
Well, they don't know what's wrong with the car, Larry, but something certainly is wrong with the car. Biffle was just on the radio and said he can hardly even drive it under caution. He thinks possibly it's a broken axle. Something definitely wrong with the 60 car.
And I'm sure he's just going to continue to try to evaluate it as we get this caution. Now, remember, he's running in the 8th position. This may be an opportunity to try to come to pit road and figure out what might be going on with that 60 car.
And Larry, you mentioned that Robbie Gordon had to stop or start from the rear of the field. He is a man on the move.
He really is. Remember, he changed engines, had to go to the rear of the field, so he's up to 21st, and that's only after here 24 laps.
Let's check in with our boy Jeff Hammond.
Well, guys, down in the 21 pit of Clint Boyer, Ricky Virus, the crew chief, was basically shaking his head because Clint started all the way at the end of the pack with the restart on this, after backing his car into the wall, that is. But he says, hey, the car feels pretty good, even though it's not really got what you call a lot of rear spoiler on it. As the car goes by, it's high on the outside corners, but very low in the center. But so far, the car is hooking up and getting pretty good forward bite.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, I don't think there was any suspension damage to that car. And again, as you said, he's still on the lead lap, but he's up to 29th position. So those guys, Rick Vires and that group, did a good job of keeping him on the lead lap. Was the biggest challenge right now.
Hey, Larry, back while we have a minute, we need to tell everybody where our friend DW is.
I know he was at school today or at college.
You're going to have to start calling him Doctor, because DW delivered the commencement address to Kentucky Wesleyan College, the graduating class in his hometown of Owensboro, Kentucky, and he was bestowed a high honor. He is now a Doctor of Laws.
I got to think about that one. My biggest fear now is all these stories he tells during the broadcast, he's going to really think they're true now.
You mean he doesn't already?
I'm not sure.
Do we have to call him Doctor?
Or Professor.
Professor. So congratulations to DW. Greg Biffle headed to pit road. Dick Berggren has the story.
Well, I wish I had the story, but not even the crew has the story right now. They don't know what's wrong with this car, but they certainly do know that something is wrong with the car. So they're going to fire 4 fresh tires at it, take a good look at this thing, and see if they can figure out why this thing is such a handful for driver Greg Biffle in California.
Decided to come to pit road like David Rudeman.
Has the story.
Big trouble for Greg Biffle and his crew. Right now they are in the process of hauling their equipment to the garage. Here's why. This is why Biffle couldn't hang on to it. This is the left rear wheel, left rear tire. See how elongated that is? You can even see the threads here. That means that the studs are almost certainly damaged. They're going to have to bring it behind the wall and change the hub. That will be a very, very lengthy stop for Greg Biffle, who won last week.
And of course, Dick, my question would be, how did that tire get left loose, which is normally what happened here? Remember, the tires have not been off this car since before qualifying, because after qualifying, the cars didn't even get jacked up. And of course, the other thing is now they've used one of their sets of tires here before lap 30 as we get a green flag on lap 30.
And Martin Truex Jr. leads them down into turn 1, followed by Ron Hornaday Jr., Kyle Busch, David Green, Jason Keller, Jason Leffler, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Casey Kane, Casey Atwood, and Tim Fedewa in the top 10. Look at that battle.
Not a surprise. Ron Hornaday Jr. in that 2 car. He has been awesome on restarts, and he was able to gain his momentum through 1 and 2 and win the battle down the backstretch. And look at Kyle Busch in that 5 car working the high side. Ron Hornaday, he'll lead this lap as we got a side-by-side battle for 3rd with David Green in the 37, Kyle Busch in the 5. As Martin Truex is looking back at it right now.
You see Busch right behind him.
David Green got a good run off turn 2 in that 37 car, trying to take the position away. You see how hard you slam on the brakes at the end of these straightaways. These straightaways are so long. When you see that nose dive, as it did on David Green's cars, that's off the throttle, hard on the brake into the corner.
And Larry, I've heard you made the comment, they're even harder on the brakes here than they are at Martinsville.
Well, these straightaways are so long, and you heard me talk about the gears that they pull here. At Martinsville, you have that 650 gear that slows you down when you roll out of the throttle. Here, the car wants to keep going, so you use more brake here than you would Martinsville for the most part.
45-year-old former series champ David Green side by side with 19-year-old Kyle Busch.
Jason Keller in the 22 car, he's trying to decide who's going to prevail here, who he wants to follow.
He's going with the veteran.
He's going with the bottom of the racetrack.
Right.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car trying to pull to the inside of Jason Leffler in the 00. That's a battle for 6 right there. It's hard to enter these corners, especially in turn 1, side by side, because it's, as we talked, it's a small end of the racetrack. There's just not room to run side by side getting off in that corner. A little easier in 3 and 4 because 3 and 4 is much more sweeping, and that second groove seems to work better in 3 and 4 as you see Kyle Busch in the 5 car. He will not give up on the high side, though.
Jason Keller down into turn 1 alongside Kyle Busch. Jason Leffler in the 00 right behind Keller. That's Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car. Great battle there.
See another car joining this group right here, Casey Kane back in that 38 car, the white car. Started back in 14th. He's up there in 8th position. Need to mention on that last caution, the 10 car Gus Watson got the pardon, the free pass back on the lead lap.
Ron Hornaday Jr. still your leader. You see some contact there between Leffler and Busch in the 5.
Well, Kyle Busch in the 5 has finally made it to the bottom of the racetrack, but it looks like Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 was able to get back to the throttle so much sooner and stay in it. Tries to pull to the inside of Kyle Busch in the 5 car.
Greg Biffle just made it 3 wide down the backstretch.
Now he's already moved back up to 18th position. In fact, he just passed Stacy Compton for 17th. Remember, he has about 25 laps fresher tires than those other guys, and that can make a huge difference. He restarted back in 25th. But Greg Biffle needs this race to stay green because remember, he only has 2 sets of tires to use under caution now. One of them's been used up. Everybody else has 3. He pulls up to the back of Johnny Sauter in the 27 car, who's running in 16th position.
Biffle won this event in 2002 and also has a win here in the Truck Series.
And he's the only previous winner in the field of the Busch Series race.
Johnny Sauter in the 27. Johnny Sauter said you could be good at one end of this racetrack and feel like you're going to leave the ballpark at the other end.
Oh, it's such a compromise. It reminds me a lot of the Nextel Cup track, Pocono. You know, you got to find that compromise. The real challenge, we talked about it earlier, is getting the car to turn down in the middle of 1 and 2. When it turns good there, you're normally way too loose from the center off of 3 and 4.
Shane Beal in the 24, followed by J.J. Yaley in the 18. Johnny Benson, another former series champ in the 1 car.
Now remember, Shane Mill, a lot like Greg Biffle in the 24 car, he has fresh tires like Greg Biffle, 25 less laps on his tires. And you can really go with this tire package when they're fresher.
Biffle at 16th, Sauter at 17th. You know, Darrell Walter made the point last week at Fontana, if it weren't for mechanical trouble, Greg Biffle has been a factor to win every single Busch Series race this season.
I mean, he really, really has. I mean, in Texas, he had a great race car and lost an engine. I mean, he's probably been a factor to win at least about 7 or 8 of these 10 races. Pulls up to the rear bumper of our points leader coming to this race, Michael Waltrip in the 99 car. This is a battle for 15th position. Riding with Michael here, see if he's shifting. There he is right there, went from 3rd to 4th gear, about halfway down the backstretch. Once again, just to maximize the RPMs on both straightaways. Greg Biffle goes to the inside of him, takes away that 15th position. noticed every driver, when they get on the straightaway, they always check that mirror. Even though they have that spotter up there, you can see those eyes in there just checking that mirror.
Jeff Hammond, what's going on down there?
Right now, a little bit of strategy between crew chief Brad Parrott and driver Greg Biffle on the 60 car. Brad Parrott has run all the way down here, just about to start-finish line of the instant of the garage area. He's got his crew assembled just inside in the garage area itself, so that when they come in, they can go to work on that number 60 car to get that left rear hub repaired as quickly as possible and save as many valuable points as they can.
And Jeff, I get the feeling right now that everything's okay, but where they're going to have a problem is when they go to take the lug nuts off again to try to change the tire. Because it seems just fine right now as he just gets another position away from Mike Bliss up to 14th.
Larry, are you surprised at how aggressively these guys are racing early on?
I mean, not really. Again, we have this softer construction, softer compound tire, has a lot of grip. I think the racetrack has a lot of grip now as it continues to cool down, and I'm not a bit surprised that they're racing this hard this early.
Jason Leffler in the 00, he rides 6th, followed by Kyle Busch in 7th. Ron Hornaday Jr. is your leader.
Or Jason Leffler in the 00 car right there, just like we've seen everybody else, going from 3rd to 4th gear up that back straightaway.
And Larry, just a quick follow-up. Cars in the garage off the racetrack. Travis Geisler, Mike Wallace, Stanton Barrett, and the 66 of Billy Parker.
Here we see Brad Parrott. I saw Tony Liberati down there as well, this whole group. I mean, the whole goal here is to have as good a game plan as you can have, where you lose as many laps as you possibly can, as few as you can, whether it's under caution or under green. You have to have a good game plan. Everyone needs to know the move they need to make. As Greg Biffle continues to march forward as he goes by Kenny Wallace in the 23, that's a battle for 12th.
Greg Biffle came into this race at Gateway 10th in points, 263 behind the leader, Michael Waltrip. We ride on board with Kenny Wallace. Started 13th up to 12th.
With the win last week, he finally got into the top 10 in points. It'd been taking him a while to get there, but he finally was there. And if he has to lose a bunch of laps on the green fixing that hub, it's probably going to take him out of the top 10.
44 laps complete. Ron Hornaday Jr. is your leader. We'll return to Gateway on FX. Today's race is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. Ron Hornaday Jr. has led 19 of 48 laps, but the early leader, Martin Truex Jr., pulls right up on his bumper, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, what happened in Ron Hornaday in the 2-car, our leader is starting to have to fight some lap traffic, and as he's been fighting this lap traffic, Martin Truex Jr. in the 8-car has been able to pull back up to his rear bumper.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. started this race in the 9th position. He is 3rd, and he is quick.
Yeah, he's been the quickest car on the racetrack. He's now, it wasn't that long ago, he was almost 4 seconds behind our leader, Ron Hornaday. Now he's about 2.5 seconds. Tell you, another car that has been on the move is David Rudeman in the 87 car. We talked about him a while ago. Remember, he's one of the cars that came to pit road and got those 4 fresh tires on lap 25, and now he just moved up into the 8th position as he went by Casey Kane in the 38.
Dick Berggren on pit road. He has more on Greg Biffle.
Well, I hope I do. I'm with Brad Parrott, his crew chief, and Biffle right now is just getting ready to come on down pit road. What's going on?
We got a cap loose on the left rear, and the axle's coming out.
Well, he had called Biffle into the garage earlier. Biffle didn't come, and now he's being called down pit road to make some repairs to that car. What a night for Greg Biffle.
And I'm going to say this is what happened. When that wheel was loose, there was a lot of vibrations. There's an aluminum cap that has 3 bolts on the end of the rear end housing that actually holds the axle in. Possibly that vibration vibrated those bolts loose, and when that cap comes off, the axle's going to come out.
Tough break for Greg Biffle. Meanwhile, Martin Truex Jr., your pole sitter, puts the heat on Ron Hornaday Jr. as they barrel into turn 3.
Yeah, he's going to at least probably go 2, maybe close to 3 laps down, because you enter pit road here in turn 3 on an excess road, and as you leave pit road, you maintain your pit road speed, to the end, but you have to go around this access road through the inside of 1 and 2, not maintaining pit road speed, but you cost you a lot of time. You're not back out on the racetrack, you come off turn 2.
We have 27 cars on the lead lap. Kenny Hendrick has taken his car to the garage, the 35 car. And Jeff Fuller in the 88 has also gone to the garage.
You know, a car that had a good qualifying run today, the 12 car Tim Feedle was started in 10th position, and he has just maintained. He is still holding in the top 10, and Tim has a birthday tomorrow. He'll be 37 years old, and he has a fill-in crew chief this weekend, Mike Hillman, who is Derek Cope's Nextel Cup crew chief. Since Gary Cogswell left this team a couple of weeks ago, Mike is helping these guys so they can find a permanent replacement. The reason he's returning the favor is Tim Fedewa and Casey Atwood's pit crew helps Mike Hillman on race day with his Nextel Cup car. Now let's go down to the man that went hunting this week who missed a turkey at 38 yards, Jeff Hamilton.
Well, Larry Mack, it's a good thing that you weren't the turkey I was shooting at, because I guarantee I wouldn't have missed. But when you talk about Mike Hillman right now helping the 12 car out, and Armando Fitz and Terry Bradshaw, they claim, along with driver Tim Feedle, well, this is a strong race team, and all it needs is leadership, and this weekend's a pretty good example. Mike Hillman's got a great reputation of stepping in with teams in a moment's notice and being able to have an impact. He's an impact crew chief who comes in and shows good leadership, and tonight I think is a good example of what Mike can do with his team. They can run the top 10 if they just have the right leadership.
And Jeff, what I saw in the garage area today is the fact those guys were going to Mike, and Mike was giving them direction, and they were listening to him. They believed in Mike, and that's a big plus when you step in a situation like he's done.
Tim Fedewa started 10th, his first top 10 start of the 2004 season. Fedewa, a 4-time winner in the Busch Series.
And his jackman tonight, which is his regular jackman, Drew Offnick, he is here, but he's here with a heavy heart. His grandfather passed away on Thursday, and his funeral was today. But Drew told me this morning, he said, I know where my grandfather would want me to be, here doing my job, jacking this number 12 car.
And Larry, speaking of which, our condolences, Don DeCecco, the gas man on the 01 car of Joe Nemechek in the Nextel Cup Series, passed away Tuesday. He had esophageal cancer at his home in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So a tough loss for that team as well.
Our thoughts and prayers will certainly be with that family and that race team as we head to Richmond next week.
Ron Hornaday Jr., there he is. He's your leader. 57 laps complete here at Gateway. We'll be right back on FX.
Dramatic.
Look at your early race highlights. Trouble on lap 3. Billy Parker Jr. in trouble. Clint Boyer in the 21. Travis Geisler there in the 36. Paul Menard all involved in that scrap. Ron Hornaday Jr. took the lead from the pole sitter. Mark Truex Jr. on lap 30.
We've got trouble down in 1 and 2. I think someone lost an engine. The caution is out. Robert Presley in the 47 car. That's an engine from Robert Yates' engine department. But it brings the caution out. And Greg Biffle, just to update you on him, he's back out there 33rd position, 2 laps down. Right now we have 27 cars on the lead lap. That was a big break for Mark Green, several cars that was about to go a lap down. There you see right at the end of the front straightaway, just as Regan Smith and Robert was just about to be lapped by the leaders. The leaders were right behind him, not too far.
Young Regan Smith also doing a nice job to avoid Robert Presley. As Larry said, 27 drivers on the lead lap. 5 cars officially out of the race.
Pit road is not open yet, but I think it's pretty safe to say probably about all of those 27 cars will be on pit road for adjustments, full of fuel, 4 tires. We were not that far away from pit stops.
Okay, Larry Mack, let's do the math. Our Aaron's biggest movers, J.J. Yaley making a big jump. Johnny Benson, Johnny Sauter, David Starr, and Andy Ponstein.
Not really surprised at Johnny Benson. Those guys have really been searching and struggling with qualifying, but once the green flag drops, a lot like Michael Waltrip's season in the 99 car, they seem to find what they're looking for as the race goes on.
Presley's in the garage. Just had a look at our leader, Ron Hornaday Jr. He's led 33 laps.
And of course, if there was any way that the 60 car, Greg Biffle's group, Brad Parrott and that group would have ever known that the caution was going to come out, they probably could have made that stop a few laps later and not lost a lap, but you never know. If the axle comes out of that race car, they got much bigger problems than just a cap being loose. Saw the green flag waving, that I think pit road should be open this time as Ron Hornaday in the 2 brings all the leaders down pit road for 4 tires, adjustments, and fuel.
So third caution out on lap 62, or 61 rather. The leaders head to pit road. There you see Ron Hornaday Jr. Martin Truex Jr., the pole sitter, led the first 29 laps of this event.
Pit road speed starts about right there, 45 miles per hour. Very, very long pit road, but these pit boxes are very, very big. Very hard to get blocked in these pit boxes. See Casey Kane in the 38 back there already to his pit box. Jeff Hammond, how about it?
David Green comes in running 4th place. The car's a little tight right now. It looks like Jason Terry, rear tire carrier, is going to make a little bit of a track bar adjustment. Up about 2 rounds, 4 tires. Try to send David back out and get him going. Dick Berggren.
Ron Hornaday comes in as the leader. He has run well here in the past, leading 141 laps and finishing second in 2002. A strong, strong car here tonight for Ron Hornaday. Pitting just 3 or 4 stalls up from him, Martin Truex, the earlier leader. Hornaday, is he going to beat him? Can't tell from my position, but they all, both Truex and Hornaday, real close at the line. Truex had been told by his crew that they thought that Hornaday was beating his stuff up. Just take it easy, ride there in second, let the car cool down. Hey, a group that really shine on those pit stops, though, was David Green's group in the 37 car. Came out 3rd. There you see him right there, Jason Radcliffe. Good pit stop is a good thing.
We're going to catch our breath while you sign your Mother's Day cards. You have done that, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back.
For all John Deere.
Joe Walsh and the Eagles might have been singing about what just happened on pit road. It was heated.
Always exciting. Ron Hornaday in the 2 car. You see he's going to win the battle off pit road where it got real close right here. Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car, David Green in the 37. Looks like the 8 car won that battle, so he'll be in second right now when we start this race.
We'll take a quick break and come back to fire this baby back up. 66 laps out of 200 complete here at Gateway. Under caution for the 3rd time, getting ready to restart. Let's reset. Ron Hornaday Jr. is your leader, followed by the pole sitter, Martin Truex Jr. David Green rides 3rd, followed by Bobby Hamilton, and Jason Keller is 5th. Jeff Hammond has more on Keller.
Steve, right now, Jason Keller is complaining, like a lot of teams and drivers are, about the car being tight right in the center. They made an air pressure adjustment as well as a track bar adjustment during that last caution. Now, the one thing I keep hearing, earlier today, after qualifying, several of the drivers said, man, whew, my car was so loose, I just barely can hang on to it, but it ought to be good tonight. But the track temperature has now dropped close to 87 degrees from where it was 120 today during qualifying, and this is where a lot of the problems are coming from. The crew chiefs are trying to compensate for track temperature and the tightening of the race cars.
Yeah, because, Jeff, the more this race goes on, the cooler it gets, the more rubber gets down, especially down there in 1 and 2, the little end of this racetrack. I think everybody knows and anticipates it's just going to get tighter and tighter, turn less and less.
And Larry, just to drop back through the top 10 a little bit, Jason Leffler rides 6th, Kyle Busch is 7th, Tim Fedewa is 8th, David Rudiman in 9th, Casey Atwood rides 10th. Just behind them, Robbie Gordon is 11th, and Ashton Lewis Jr. 12th.
But the thing that makes me nervous when I look at the top 11, David Ruderman in the 87 car and Robbie Gordon in the 55, we're not even halfway. We're at lap 68. They've already used 2 of their 3 sets of tires under caution. That would be 2 race cars. As you see the orange car there, David Ruderman in 87, 2 cars behind him, the Fruit of the Loom car, Robbie Gordon. That's 2 guys that need long green runs. You can change all you want under green, but now we're just a third of the way through this race. They've got 1 set of tires to use under caution. I'd be a little bit nervous about that.
And NASCAR has had that rule in place for a while to help these teams save some money on that tire bill.
I think it's a good rule. I really do. You know, I have always said I never envy a Busch Series crew chief having to know when to place those 3 sets of tires. In Cup, every time the caution comes out most racetracks, 4 more tires.
Slap them on. Pace truck is off. Double file restart. Ron Hornaday Jr. is your leader. He'll start the race. Green flag.
Now you see Greg Biffle in the 60 car right there on the inside. He's almost 2 laps down right there. In fact, when he's side by side, he is 2 laps down, fighting to try to get one of them back. And we got trouble here on the front straightaway. Mark Green in the 28 car up against the inside wall. Caution is out. Now what NASCAR will have to determine is when the field was frozen, the minute that yellow flag came out, was Greg Biffle, the 60 car, indeed in front of Ron Hornaday, our leader, and will he get one of those laps back? Remember, the minute the caution lights come on or the caution flag comes out, the field is frozen, the entire field. There's no more racing. So NASCAR will have to make a determination whether he was just a little bit in front of Ron Hornaday. He'll be only 1 lap down.
All right, there's your green flag. Trouble in the back.
It looks like everybody checked up and someone just got into the back of Mark Green, the 28 car, and just turned him around. Looks like someone had some trouble up in the field. There you see a lot of cars. Possibly Michael Waltrip in the 99 didn't get going, and things started stacking up behind him.
And Mark Green makes heavy contact with the inside retaining wall. Fourth caution of the evening. We couldn't even get restarted on that one, Larry Mack.
I'm anxious to see. I know NASCAR is working diligently right now to try to determine if indeed Greg Biffle was in front of the 2 car, Ron Hornaday. So will he just be 1 lap down now? Because I'm going to tell you what, when that 60 car gets back on the lead lap, you better look out.
We're on board with Michael Waltrip for another replay. Here's the restart. You're looking at David Stremmy's car.
Yeah, it looks like Michael just didn't get going. You see David Stremme beating the back of his car. For some reason, I don't know if he spun the rear tires, didn't really sound like it, but he just didn't get going on the restart. And of course, Mark Green in the 28 car, making his 2nd Busch Series start of 2004, is somewhat a victim. They just start stacking up behind all this group.
Let's go on board now with David Stremme, Larry Mack.
Of course, the signal for these guys to go is when the flagman puts the green flag out. And Michael just didn't get going. You saw David Stremme ride with him, beating on his rear bumper, finally went to the outside. There you saw the caution light come back on. That was when Mark Green hit the inside wall.
.71 laps complete of 200. Ron Hornaday Jr., still your leader. Well, it was a year filled with unbelievable moments, and beginning May 22nd, the best is yet to come as the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week returns with what promises to be the greatest season in recent memory. It all begins May 22nd on Fox.
And I'm anxious to see how this somewhat plays out, because remember, at the restart, Greg Biffle in the 60 was 2 laps down. If he indeed is in front of Ron Hornaday when the caution comes out, that puts him 1 lap down. Now, you're not eligible for a free pass until you're just 1 lap down, the first car that's 1 lap down. So the first challenge is going to be, was he in front of Ron Hornaday? So now would he be just 1 lap down? And I'm getting the nod that that's the case, and that Paul Menard in the 33 car will get the free pass, but now Greg Biffle is just 1 lap down. As he comes to pit road, and
get a little service work here done. Remember, I think Greg Biffle is one of the cars that also has changed tires twice. We'll have to find out more about that, but he brings it to pit road right now, along with Hermie Sadler and Paul Menard in the 33 car, as well as Johnny Benson.
And David Stremme hits pit road as well. Greg Biffle comes to the attention of his crew, and we'll take this opportunity to take a break and be right back to Gateway.
Welcome back to Gateway International. Look right here, Greg Biffle in the 60 car to the inside. Remember, he's 2 laps down. He goes underneath Ron Hornaday. You see right there, the green light is still on. But now watch right here. He pulls in front of him through 1 and 2. Now watch the caution light right here. There it is, turns yellow. He's in front. The field's frozen. But Dick Bergman, it's a moot point. He lost another lap on pit road under this caution.
Yeah, Larry, they're still working on that left rear hub, trying to chase the thread. There are 5 studs on each one of those hubs, and they're just having a hard time getting the lug nuts on and off, and they have been running various kinds of dies up and out, trying to clean the threads off, and they almost had it fixed. And Biffle just sat here, revving the engine, imploring the crew, get it fixed, get it fixed. They didn't quite get it done. Brad Parrott said, all right, let him sit here, let's get this thing fixed, and hopefully they have. But Biffle now 2 laps down, and you just got to wonder who left those lug nuts loose.
And remember, Dick Bergman, as we talked earlier, it happened before qualifying because the first set of tires was not off that race car. They were put on there before qualifying and never taken off. But I don't know that that's not a bad move by Brad Parrott. Look, let's just bite the bullet. Let's get it fixed right. We got a good enough car with over 100 laps to go to make those 2 laps up. And I need to document, he still has 2 sets of tires he can use under caution. They've only used 1 set under caution.
All right, pace truck is off. Ron Hornaday Jr. is your leader. He's led 45 laps. Green flag unfurled.
It's Greg Biffle in the 60 car. He moves up behind David Green in the 37 car, up into the 4th place on the racetrack.
Martin Truex Jr. rides 2nd, David Green 3rd, Bobby Hamilton Jr. 4th, Jason Keller seeking his first top 5 of the season, Jason Leffler 6th, Kyle Busch 7th, Tim Fedewa 8th, David Rudiman 9th, Casey Atwood, your 10th place driver.
Here they have to play with the throttle off the corner. I mean, you lose grip so much right here on into the race, on into a run. You can't just nail the throttle. You have to drive the car as much with the throttle pedal as you do the steering wheel.
Seven cars on the lead lap. There's David Green. Those cars officially out of this event: Robert Presley, Jeff Fuller, Justin Ashburn, Kenny Hendrick, Travis Geisler, Mike Wallace, Stanton Barrett, and Billy Parker. And Mark Green, who brought out the most recent caution, is in the garage. Oh, a little contact there, Larry Mack.
Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car gets Ron Hornaday a little loose off turn 2. I don't know if I want to put a dog in that fight right now, but he's going to lose 2nd place to David Green in 37. He's going to fight back on the inside. And Greg Biffle in the 60 car, remember, he's 1 or more laps down right now. He's fighting in there with these guys as well. But while these guys are running side by side, that AC Delco car up there, the 2 car, Ron Hornaday's getting smaller and smaller. See, they run these cars so soft and so low air pressure, you can see them actually bottoming out. This racetrack, since they grounded, is fairly smooth. They still bottom out on low air pressure early in a run.
Yeah, you see it right there, bottom out, the sparks fly as he sets into that corner.
Especially when you jump on the brake and the nose dives on the race car.
Working lap 80 of 200. Hornaday Jr., a 2-time Truck Series champion.
Tell you what, right now these cars, they look very, very equal. I don't think either one really has an advantage on the other one. It's like Martin Truex maybe beats Ron Hornaday through the middle of the corner. In fact, he's beating on his his rear bumper right here. Got him loose. He had to get out of the throttle. He's trying to win this battle, the drag race down the front straightaway into turn 1. I think he will prevail. Ron Hornaday, though, going to try to do the crossover, a little retaliation. There he goes, back to the inside off turn 2.
What a battle between Hornaday Jr. and Truex Jr. Both second-generation racers.
And when they're beating and banging on each other down there in 1 and 2, remember, as we've seen most of the drivers, these guys are in a downshift mode down there as well as an upshift on the back straightaway. Very busy down there in 1 and 2.
In other words, they've got their hands full.
Yes, they do. This is one of those deals where they come on radio, don't talk to me right now.
Truex Jr. able to extend his lead just a bit. Hornaday's last win in the Busch Series, May last year at Nazareth. He has 3 wins in the series. Truex Jr., of course, won earlier this year at Bristol and then again at Talladega. Just 24 years old.
All right, we
caution out, Larry Mack. Caution out again.
Caution is out. There you see the 77 car.
Shane Hall.
Sitting in the grass. All right, we need to update the Greg Biffle situation to bring everybody up to date. What happened? He made that green flag stop. He was 2 laps down after he made that green flag stop to repair the hubcap. Before the caution came out on lap 60, he actually made one of those laps back up. So he was only 1 lap down. When he restarted beside Ron Hornaday, and we had that quick caution on the front stretch, and he was in front of him, that put him back on the lead lap. But then he lost a lap back in the pits onto that last caution. But since he was the first car lap down, he will get the free pass, and he will be back on the lead lap now. And we're still 17 laps shy of halfway.
Larry Mack, you are all over it.
I'm trying, but I got help from a lot of people.
So caution out. For the 5th time this evening, a spin by Shane Hall. We'll be back to Gateway International right after this. Under caution for the 5th time this evening here at Gateway, 1-car spin involving Shane Hall in the 77. And we should mention, Larry Mack, Shane Hall replacing Donnie Neuenberger in that 77. Neuenberger taking a medical leave of absence. He has follicular non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So our best wishes and prayers to Donnie Neuenberger. Meanwhile, we go to Dick Berggren.
Town hero Kenny Wallace, car number 23, is having his problems. And the problems are in the ignition department. First, they thought they may have had a bad ignition box. He switched boxes. That didn't seem to make it any better. He pitted. They took a look at it. They didn't find anything wrong. And now they are considering bringing the car in for a new battery. And that will really cost him. Right now, Wallace is 24th. Jeff.
Well, down here in the 5 car of Kyle Busch, all he can keep saying on the radio is tight, tight, tight. That's been his words since the drop of the green. And guys, I keep checking the track temperature, and it keeps going down, down, and down. It's down to 84 degrees, so I'm not really surprised that a lot of these guys, even though they're making chassis adjustments, they're not quite big enough to keep up with the ever-changing coolness of the racetrack.
I mean, that's what you're going to have to do. I mean, you're going to have to be pretty aggressive with these changes, because I think it's just starting to get dark here at Gateway, and I think this is where it goes through the biggest change. You may not have to be as aggressive with changes later on in the race, but right now I think it's going through a huge transition.
And Larry, while we have a second, want to pass along some birthday wishes. We mentioned Tim Fita was celebrating a birthday. Bobby Labonte is, and in our families, how about Bill Cohen, Lynn Mignani, and Linda McReynolds?
Yeah, Linda has a birthday coming up next Thursday.
What is she, 26?
I think 29.
Yeah, that's a great birthday.
She's a lot younger than I am. She don't have near as many miles as I have.
You wish.
There you see him under the hood of Kenny Wallace, a 23 car.
Well, next weekend, NASCAR returns to Richmond for another full weekend of racing action. Thursday, it's Busch Series qualifying on speed. Friday, it's Bud Bowl qualifying on speed, followed by NASCAR Nextel Cup practice on FX. Then NASCAR Busch Series racing presented by Johnsonville. Saturday, the world's best drivers return to FX for NASCAR Nextel Cup racing with the Chevrolet American Revolution 400. NASCAR returns returns to the Fox Networks. We'll be right back. Ready to restart on this Mother's Day weekend at Gateway International, just across the river from St. Louis. Just to update you, Kenny Wallace, his car has been pushed behind pit wall. The team is working on this race car with the hood up. The pace truck is off, and Martin Truex Jr. is ready to haul him off down into turn 1.
Let's watch Ron Hornaday. That 2 car has been so strong on restarts all night long. Look like he's going to get a jump on Martin Truex on this restart, though. Trying to anticipate the start.
Hornaday looks to the inside.
Got a good run through the middle of 1 and 2. Side by side down the backstretch. David Green in the 37 car wants to follow Ron Hornaday through there.
Here comes Hornaday, and Green takes a look underneath Truex. He's got the nose underneath it.
David Green's car, the 37, was so good through the middle of the corner. Look at Bobby Hamilton Jr., that red car, the Marines car, number 25, coming up there. Now Martin Truex wants to lead back down the front straightaway. It's almost like Ron Hornaday's a little better in 1 and 2, especially getting off the corner. Martin Truex is really good through 3 and 4. That's where he made the pass earlier.
Side by side for the lead.
These guys are going at it. David Green's sitting back there saying, "What are you doing up there, boys?"
And before the race, David Green said we'd see some body slapping, and he was right.
He's got a bird's eye view of it right now.
That red car Larry Mack talked about, that's Bobby Hamilton Jr. And Jason Keller in 5th behind Hamilton. Let's check in with Jeff Hammond.
Well, guys, we're looking at the 23 car, Kenny Wallace. They brought him behind the wall, thinking to begin with it was a battery, but I stuck my head inside to Kenny, what happened? He said, Jeff, I dropped the cylinder. The crew pulled off the valve cover and immediately looked and saw, hey, it's terminal. Put it back together, put her on the truck. Kenny Wallace is done for the night.
Rough night for the Wallace clan from St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Wallace having engine problems. Kenny Wallace having engine problems.
What? Hammond's jacking the car up. What is he doing?
Moonlighting again. He has more jobs than I can keep up with.
What is he doing, Larry Mack? Is he trying to compensate for the fact that
you can figure that out, you can solve the world's problems.
Perhaps he's trying to compensate for the fact that he missed that turkey at 38 yards?
38 yards, a third of a football field.
Martin Truex Jr. off turn 4.
Starting to stretch it out just a little bit right now on Ron Hornaday in the 2 car, about a half a second. But you heard him talk earlier. They told Ron, you know, we still got a long way to go. Don't use your stuff up early.
Yeah, we're just nearing the halfway mark. On board with Truex Jr. Looking back at Hornaday. See Truex laps. Hornaday has been at the point for 52 laps, and Kenny Wallace led 1 lap.
We talked earlier, Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car. He's in 3rd place in the points coming into this race, only 1 point out of 2nd place. But this race team, they lead the owner points because remember at Daytona, Dale Earnhardt Jr. drove the 8 car. Martin Truex drove the 81 car. So by virtue of that win, with the finishes that Martin Truex has had, they lead the owner points over Michael Waltrip, the number 99 car, by 53 points.
Truex Jr. got his 3rd pole of the year for this event, trying to win his 3rd race of the year. You know, Larry Mack, a lot of people can say, yeah, he's in good equipment. It's the Chance 2 car that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the principal owner of. But as Buddy Baker would say, you can't throw a brick in that thing and make it turn left.
Absolutely not. And obviously Dale Earnhardt Jr. See David Rudiman in the 87 car. He was running in the 9th position. Looks like we're really starting to have some engine problems with these cars. I mean, you turn a lot of RPMs here. Even though you're shifting, it's those sustained RPMs that stay way up there. And that's a shame because David Rudiman had worked his way, stayed up in the top 10, but it looks pretty terminal for that 87 car.
And caution is out. Caution is out for the 6th time. He's dropped a cylinder. Caution out for the 6th time on lap 96 as David Rudiman done, we'll have to head to the garage. Hey, you're watching Busch Series Racing on FX. We're at Gateway. This evening. Changes.
100.
You know, I said that Hornaday and Truex Jr. were swapping the lead. Well, when you start
lead changes, 125 lead changes if you go all the way around the racetrack.
And you saw the replay of Mark Green. He is the 28 car now officially listed out of the race. The 28 car hit the wall.
You know, in the recap we saw early in the race, Clint Boyer in the 21 car had that problem, but these guys, Rick Vires and that group, they have kept him on the lead lap, and he's sitting here in 17th position at the halfway point. That goes to show you right there, especially early in the race, never give up. I remember this is the championship owner team from last year. I know that group is pretty much over Ron Hornaday, but it was Richard Childress Racing. That's how you win championships, whether it's driver or owner championship, never give up. Jeff Hammond.
Well, I got a chance to speak to crew chief Ricky Vires during his caution flag, and said, man, you guys will keep picking away. He said, man, I can't believe it. He said the car's just a little bit tight, but Clint has really been up on the wheel, giving good feedback and making little adjustments to the car. They need to make one more stop and they can go the distance, so they're being very patient and very deliberate with all these changes. They still feel like they've got a car capable of getting in the top 5 before the night's done. Dick?
Well, I've been on pit road eavesdropping on Martin Truex Jr. and Ron Hornaday, and I must say the conversation has been anything but pleasant. Mr. Hornaday has had virtually nothing nice to say about Mr. Truex, and Mr. Truex has had nothing nice to say about Mr. Hornaday. And I am rather wondering if tempers are going to boil over as we get into the second half of this race. These guys are not pleased with each other.
Well, it is Saturday night. I would call this a short track, even though it's a mile and a quarter. I'd say that'd be pretty good anticipation there.
And Dick did such a wonderful job of cleaning that up, I'm sure. This is a family show after all.
Absolutely. We need to document that David Starr in the 50 car, he will get the pardon. He will be back on the lead lap, so that will give us 26 cars on the lead lap here at the halfway point. Watch Ron Hornaday Jr. in that 2 car. Pretty much Martin Truex got the jump on him a while ago on that last restart. Let's see what happens here as we go back racing with 98 laps to go. There you see Hornaday pushing him down the front stretch. I think after that happened a couple times to Martin Truex on restarts, I think he's figured out the number here with Hornaday. Now Hornaday goes to the high side, see if he can get the run off turn 2. Martin Truex Jr. shuts the door on, and look at Hornaday. I mean, he's driving that thing like there's 5 laps to go.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. up into the 3rd position. You're on board with Truex, looking back at Hornaday. There you see Hamilton Jr. to the right of your screen, the 3rd place car. Jason Keller 4th, Jason Leffler's 5th. Kyle Busch is 5th. Tim Feeder with a great run in 7th. Robbie Gordon up into the 8th position. Casey Kane 9th. Casey Atwood is 10th.
I know Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car. I know we've only made 1 pit stop, which they've had a chance to adjust on the car, but it just looks like that as we go into this racetrack is coming to Harold Holley in that group. Ride with Davey Strimmy in the 32 car, sitting back in the 11th position, battling Casey Atwood in the Navy car in front of him for 10th.
And right behind David Strimmy, good run for Ashton Lewis Jr., the pole sitter for this event last year. Lewis in that white car, the 46, right behind Strimmy. J.J. Yaley has entered that fray. He's in the 14th position. Let's go to Jeff Hammond, who has more on Yaley.
J.J. Yaley started way back in 36th position earlier tonight and been battling his way up through the field. The car's been tight like everybody else, but he keeps working on it, and he keeps finding the groove. He says, guys, I'm starting to get a feel for this place. It's getting better. Good input as far as the driver's concerned, and a lot of good adjustments by this team.
But Larry Mack, look who's right behind him, Clint Boyer. We documented the damage he had on lap 3. Look at him. He puts the nose under the 18.
He's up there battling for the 14th position. But just to follow up on J.J. Yaley, every Busch Series start he's made this year, all the way back to Las Vegas, running a limited schedule, we have seen that. It's like in the beginning of the race, he falls back, he tries to find the racetrack, see what the competition's doing, and by the middle of the race, he is coming on. Now, he's never raced a Busch Series car here, but he did run in the USAC Silver Crown Series here.
Good battle there between Casey Kane there in the white paint scheme, a new paint scheme for him this evening. On board with David Stremme, battle for 9th. And right now, Stremme has the advantage, but look at Kane close on him in the corners.
Casey really gets in the corner good. There you see him beating on the back of David Stremme rear bumper. But it's like David Stremme maybe gets off the corner a little better in the 32 car. But Jeff Hammond, how about Casey Kane?
Larry, right now, he's been struggling kind of all night long, getting off the corner. He called in the garage at the pit area a little while ago talking to his crew chief. He said, man, I can't get past anybody because I can't get off the corner. And the crew chief calls back and says, are you shifting? He says, no. So he tells him, you got to start shifting the car down to third to get to run off the corner. You've been talking about it all night long, how critical being able to shift is here at Gateway.
Well, yeah, if he downshift in 1 and 2, we talked about it earlier, that's 30 points lower in third gear. I mean, you'll definitely get him off the corner, get beat off the corner if you spot him 30 points a gear.
And Jeff Hammond mentioned his crew chief, Paul Andrews, atop the pit box now with a wealth of experience.
And I talked to Paul today, and he said, you know, I came in the middle of a terrible race stretch right here. I mean, these guys are running a lot of races in a row, but he said, I'm just now getting to spend some time in the shop to figure out what cars they've got, who does what on the race team, but you can tell he's getting very comfortable with this race team. And Casey Kane fights to get back around David Stremme. This is a battle for the 9th position.
$109 laps in the book. 91 to go. On board with David Stremme. There's Greg Biffle.
Greg Biffle's big adventure.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have chronicled his
Yeah,
night.
he got the free pass on lap 90. On the restart, he was 25th. And here on lap 109, he's up there battling Casey Atwood for the 11th position. He will be a factor before this night's out,
well,
I guarantee you.
You said that. If he gets back on that lead lap, look out, boys.
And he is there, and he is like a man on a mission right now.
Great run for Casey Atwood. His best finish this year, 9th at Darlington. His only top 10 finish.
It's like Casey finally figured out Greg Biffle was much quicker than he was. There's no sense they're just fighting the issue. Right now, they're about 7.5 seconds behind our leader, Mark Truex Jr., which is about a 1/4 of a lap.
Let's check in with a busy Jeff Hammond.
Well, guys, it is kind of busy down here in the pits, and Steve Burns, as you well know, real man working the pits.
Attaboy.
And the thing right now, we talk about Greg Biffle. Interestingly enough, I talked to some of the crew members that are running back and forth to the truck trying to get this car repaired. One of them stopped and told me, we've got to win the race tonight. We've got to rally back, because if we don't, come Tuesday when Jack Roush comes down to have their team meeting to try to find out why that wheel was loose, it's going to be a real ugly Tuesday for these guys in the 60 car if they're not able to get back up there and win this race.
But you know what, Jeff? For this team to already be back fighting to get in the top 10, I mean, that says a lot for that organization led by Brad Parrott. It's a lot like Clint Boyer. They've never given up tonight.
There's David Green. He's been trying to get around Ashton Lewis Jr. for the 13th spot.
And as we saw earlier in the race, he has about 30 laps fresher tires than these guys. But what he has to be careful, and trust me, David Green is a master at this, is not using all his stuff up, especially those 4 fresh tires. He has a good race car with these 4 fresh tires.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 3rd position. There you see his Marines car, and Dick Bergman has more on him.
And everybody better be careful of Bobby Hamilton, because he came on the radio about 10 or 12 laps ago and bragged about how good his race car was. In reply, his crew chief said, okay, buddy, look for him now. You're a fighter. Hunt them down. That was Harold Hawley.
And Larry Mack, Bobby Hamilton Jr. talked about before this race that it's a one-day show where we practice, qualified, and race, and he said his crew chief, Harold Holley, with his experience, would be a huge bonus and a benefit for him.
Simply from his experience at these racetracks. I think as we do these one-day shows, that's where the experienced drivers and crew chiefs will certainly take over. And I talked to Harold Holley today, and he's almost been with Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car for almost 1 year. And even though they've hit some bumps in the road this year, you can definitely see them starting to come on again, just as they did the end of last year.
They were the hottest team in the sport at the end of last season and almost won the championship. They were 200 points back at the end of the year and still almost made it up.
They made up a bunch of ground.
Harold Holley was a crew chief for Jeff Green when he won the championship with PPC Racing. And I didn't realize this, but Harold also worked with Alan Kulwicki years ago.
I did know he did work with him for a little bit. I tell you, Bobby Hamilton Jr. is really running down Ron Hornaday in the 2 car, but right now these 2 cars fell back to about a 1.5 seconds behind our leader, Martin Truex Jr. You know, I'm not surprised though, Ron Hornaday, as we watch our leader right here, that Ron Hornaday in the 2 car is running that well here. You know, he's moved up to 8th in points kind of quietly, but this racetrack is very similar to Nazareth, and that's the race that he won last year.
There's our points as of now. Martin Truex Jr. would have a 26-point lead over Michael Waltrip. Of course, Waltrip came here with the points lead.
And right now, Michael is kind of he's still on the lead lap back in 19th position, about 13.5 seconds behind our leaders. We ride with Michael right now down the backstretch. Leader's at the line now, so Michael's not quite a half a lap behind our leader, Martin Truex Jr. But you can hear him having to play with that throttle. He's all the way up on the straightaway before he can think about going full throttle. And right now, he has his hands full with Mike Bliss in the 20 car. And Mike Bliss was one of the cars that came to pit road a while ago when David Green, Johnny Sauter, Stacy Compton, and Paul Menard did. Back on lap 99.
Martin Truex Jr. has led 64 laps this evening. 118 laps completed. Gateway International. We'll be right back. Martin Truex Jr. has a lead of 1.6 seconds over Ron Hornaday Jr. Kyle Busch in the 5 car, the 19-year-old younger brother of Kurt Busch, rides 6th. And we have our TGI Fridays trivia question. Larry Mack, who was the last rookie to win a NASCAR Busch Series race?
Ooh, I want to say Greg Biffle. I could be wrong.
This would be the most recent rookie.
Brian Vickers.
Ah, good one.
No, not Brian Vickers. Got this lady in the ear telling me that was wrong
Miller
too.
Says, gave you the eh.
Scott Riggs. Scott Riggs. Not Scott Riggs.
Oh.
Put the answer up there for Pete's sake.
Driving us crazy. For Pete's sake. Johnny Sauter.
Driving the 2 car, the AC Delco car. Yeah.
That completely slid by me.
I don't believe I'd ever guessed that one. And I knew it wasn't Mark Martin or Harry Gant.
I was going to say Casey Atwood, but that was too long ago. Tell you another guy who's having a great run here tonight, Robbie Gordon in the 55 car. He has a busy month of May.
Yes, he does, but he's had a busy day here today because they unloaded their car for inspection yesterday, went through inspection. This morning when they cranked the engine, I guess someone had dropped a nut down through the carburetor, and they didn't really find anything wrong, but they were just so afraid that could cause a problem because remember, he comes here 5th in the points, and now he has worked his way up into the 9th position. But this long green run is good for him because with 75 laps to go, unlike a lot of the other guys, Robbie only has 1 set of tires left to use under caution. But yeah, next weekend, Steve, I guess he's going to run the Busch race on Friday night. He's going to fly to Indianapolis, qualify his IRL car in Indy on Saturday morning, back to Richmond for the Cup race on Saturday night. I talked to Robbie this morning, and he said, Larry, you know Indy. He said, the later it gets, the faster it gets, but I have to be back in Richmond for the drivers' meeting him for the race. So he said, I'm going to try to be the first car out in qualifying on Saturday morning and get advantage of the cooler weather in the morning.
You know, I watched the 1 hour special Speed Channel did on him last year. It was amazing in how poised he was about the whole logistics of going back and forth from Indy to Charlotte. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he don't get uptight about it whatsoever. I think even when he cuts it close, and I know you would think with all this coming after Fontana last week that he would have taken a little bit of break. He went down into Mexico running some sort of sand car or something. He can't get enough. Greg Biffle continued his march back up just in front of Robbie Gordon. He just goes by 10 feet away. That moves Greg up into the 7th position, but he's almost 10 seconds behind our leader, Martin Truex. Greg Biffle would like to see a caution here shortly to get caught back up. But he has, I think, a car definitely capable of winning a race. Jeff Hammond, what do you think here with about 72 laps to go as far as who has what left as far as tires?
Well, I think a lot of teams right now, if you've talked about and documented, the ones who've already gone through the 2 sets early on were a little bit nervous, but this long run in the green playing ground. The other thing that's kind of interesting about this racetrack tonight and the tires that are being run here at Gateway, this is the first time that Goodyear actually brought this construction and this particular compound to this racetrack, or they haven't run it at all anywhere else this year. So they were a little bit nervous when they dropped the green, knowing that 20 of the race cars had broken the track record basically in race trim. The lap speeds as far as race conditions are concerned have been very quick tonight, but the tires have held up very well. Run a green, so it should help play into a lot of these teams' hands. Madison Grange to help get some grip back in the
is dropped. He should be okay with that little bit of piece of paper there. If it was hot and the temperature his crew is spotted at, and they will have him.
Position, David Green now 12th.
Piece of paper. At Fontana.
Back towards the front. On board with Jason Leffler as he tries to chase down Keller. Keller is 6.2 seconds behind Martin Truex Jr. Jason Keller comes here 6th in points, but we said, Larry Mack, he's had a slow start to this season.
But with a slow start, he picked a good racetrack to come to try to make up some ground. As we talked, he's the only driver in the field that has competed in all 7 races. We see Johnny Benson in the 1 car here. Some damage they repaired on the left front. Looks like he's coming to pit road. Johnny was still on the lead lap back in 19th position. Yeah, back to Jason Keller. Of those 7 races, 5 top 5 finishes here. He finished 3rd last year. And you know, he's sitting 6th in points. He's not led a lap, but I think the real thing that is interesting about Jason, he's completed all but 2 laps of competition. That's the reason he's 6th in points, the 22 car.
He's got a new crew chief this year, Wes Ward. Wes was with Casey Kane the last couple of years, with the 38 team rather. Wes worked with Dale Jarrett for a lot of years as well.
Starting to see Kyle Busch in that Lowe's car, the 5 car. He's starting to reel in Jason Leffler in the 00. Kyle, they came up here and did a test. I think we talked about that earlier, but it's like, I think coming up here and running those long race runs, this is the longest green run we basically had. I think it's starting to pay off for some of these guys. Their cars are good on long runs. Plus, I think the racetrack is coming to them as it cools down. Kyle right now is about 8 1/4 seconds behind our leader, Martin Truex, as he has pretty much walked it out.
Right after this.
They pitted on 63, and I think the first to come to pit road is Ron Hornaday in that 2 car. Now we're 60 laps from the end, so all these pit stops, should we stay green, we'll let them go from here.
But as we cycle through these green flag stops, these guys hold their breath hoping they don't get burned by a caution flag, because then they would be 1 to 2 laps down. These should be pit stops that will include adjustments. Dick Berger.
Race car all night has run in either first or second spot. Most important here, no mistakes.
Waltrip's pit stop, so he should be on pit road here very shortly. Is Martin Truex Jr. That's the difference right there. Yep. You're showing in about 75 lap tires how he just blew by Greg Biffle in the 60. So anybody right now that's still on the lead lap, they can't be far behind these guys and give up a bunch of time on these older tires. David Strimmy, the 32 car on pit road, as well as Hermie Sadler in 02. Saw a while ago he just had went a lap down.
You know, Larry Mack, most of the races I work, I'm on pit road. You can pretty much tell by the crew guys' reaction if they've had a good stop or a bad one.
And you can feel it. Nobody has to tell you what the time is. Whether you're a tire changer, a jack man, you can tell it. As we see Greg Biffle in the 60 car, they finally decided to come to pit road and get those 4 tires. He saw how fast Martin Truex blew by him. I'm sure the first thing he said, how much further are you going to run me? I need to get in there and get those 4 tires.
Green flag stop for Greg Biffle. Lap 147, 148 make that.
Now this will hand the lead to David Green in the 37 car. Remember, he was one of the cars on pit road at lap 99. He can run about 30 more laps. Problem, he can't give up much more time tires than Dick Berger.
If there wasn't already enough drama with Greg Biffle's crew, the big discussion was not whether they were going to take 4 tires or 2, 4 tires or 3. They're still worried about this left rear. Late they decided slow on the right-hand side. Late they decided that they were going to change all 4, and as I look in here, there's a little bit of fire in the left rear, and they cannot get the left rear off. Cannot get it off. Finally, off comes the left rear. Alan Tully, the rear tire changer, a tough time here. Slow on pit road on the green flag. Wow, what a night he's had.
Yeah, 31.7. Dick, that's almost 3 times the amount of pit stops should be. I mean, that can be half of a racetrack right there.
And that rear tire changer, I mean, how'd you like to pull that wheel and tire off with fire right there facing you?
Yeah, and I mean, we know the problem with those lug studs. It's like going to a gunfight with a knife. You don't know what to expect when you get in there. And there's our leader right now, David Green, in the 37 car, as we mentioned a while ago. We know on fuel, he can probably run about another 25 laps. But he's given up a lot of time on those tires. But if we get a caution, Jason Ratcliffe got crew, the strategy has paid off.
Recycling through pit stops, David Green, your leader. Clinton Boyer in the 21 car, who was involved in that lap 3 incident, is second. Mike Bliss third. Johnny Sauter fourth. J.J. Yaley is fifth. Oh, and imagine that. Look who's nose to tail.
Well, just remember, before the green flag pit stops, Ron Hornaday was about 2.5 seconds behind. I think 2 things happened. I think Ron was the first lead lap car to come to pit road. He got advantage of those tires, but I think Ron's experience pitting under green, getting full advantage of getting on pit road and off, paid off. But Martin Truex Jr., he's going to take the lead back here as we've got 49 laps to go. Ron Hornaday, though, he'll be back there just lurking. And right now, as we cycle through these green flag stops, we have 13 cars on the lead lap, a lot because of those guys that have not pitted yet. But Jeff Hammond, I can't believe Jason Ratcliffe will be far behind these guys on his green flag stop with David Green.
Larry, I'm standing here, been watching Jason talk to the crew members around him. He's watching the monitor, trying to figure out exactly when he needs to come in and when he doesn't. As you said earlier, they've got a little bit of advantage on the field, but they can't sit too long because it's kind of like playing poker. You may try to play pat, and what's going to happen? People are going to draw out on you. If he catches a caution flag, he's going to be the big winner. But he has to come to pit road. If he waits too very long, he's going to be so far behind the new tires won't help him.
Yeah, right now he has almost an 8-second lead over second place Clint Boyer in that 21 car, who has definitely rebounded nicely. But we know all of these cars, pretty much about the top 5 or 6 cars, will have to be to pit road here shortly. We're looking right here at the right side of Martin Truex, the 8 car. He has something hanging out down there in the exhaust pipe here, but I don't think it's an exhaust pipe.
Right below the number.
It could be a rocker skirt or something. They run a little skirt that's below the rocker panel. We'll have to try to get a little closer look at it to see if it's anything. I'm sure NASCAR will be taking a look at it.
There it is right there.
That's what it is. It's that little piece of skirt that they put down below the rocker panel as part of the aero package as far as keeping the cars on the ground when they get sideways, along with the roof flaps.
So how will that affect his race car, Larry?
It won't affect it no way at all unless NASCAR decides to black flag him because they think it could get in trouble. You see Stacy Compton in the 59 car right now. He is the 5th place car, but he's another one of those cars like David Green that pitted back on lap 99.
David Green, your leader. His crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, looks on. We'll be back to Gateway right after this.
Heroic.
Wallace, I'd like to take a moment to wish my mother a happy Mother's Day and my lovely wife Carla a happy Mother's Day, and all the mothers around the country, happy Mother's Day.
Just want to wish a happy Mother's Day out to all the mothers out there this Sunday. Of course, my mom, who's here at the racetrack, we're going to spend some time with her on Sunday. But happy Mother's Day.
Hey, I'm Martin Truex Jr. I want to wish my mom and all the moms out there a happy Mother's Day.
And happy Mother's Day weekend to all the moms out there, including my mom, Claire, and my wife, Karen.
And just to update you right now is we see Shane Millen, 24th car, come to pit road. David Green, we know he's going to have to pit here in about the next 10 or 15 laps, but I've been clocking him versus Martin Truex Jr., an 8 car that's back in 4th position right now. And right now, Martin Truex is beating him about 3/4 of a second a lap. Now, Martin is about 15 seconds behind David, but right now, the biggest problem, David, he's not that bad when he's by himself, but when he has to maneuver traffic with those old tires, he loses a lot of time. That's the biggest problem right now. And right now, with him being 15 seconds ahead of Martin Truex, that's actually the pit stop right there. So the distance he's going to lose on the racetrack is the entire distance of pit road. It's almost going to be a lap when it's all said and done, should we stay green.
On board with David Stremme. Stremme in the 12th position. David Green's last win, Kansas, last year, 16 races ago. He's got 9 career wins.
You know, a car that has kind of gone away just a little bit. I don't think they've done a good job maybe of keeping up with the racetrack with the changes as Ron Hornaday. It wasn't that many laps ago. He was right behind Martin Truex. Now he's almost 3 seconds behind Martin Truex Jr., and he's back in 5th position. Now, Martin Truex, he just moved around Mike Bliss for the 3rd position. Mike Bliss, though, is in the same boat as David Green. He should be coming to pit road here in the next 10 or 15 laps. But Jeff Hammond, 37 car, can't go much further.
Well, Larry, you won't believe this right now, but we got a little bit of strategy going on here on the part of Jason Ratcliffe and this Timberwolf team because of the fact that we said earlier in before the start of this race, it could be easily won and lost by the guys on top of the pit boxes. Jason decided we're going to stay out for about 5 or 6 more laps. When we come, guys, 1 can of gas, 2 right side tires, and let's get off the pit road as fast as we can. So he's going to gamble and see if right side will work. We talked to some of the Goodyear engineers, and they say, hey, left side tires have been looking really good coming off these cars tonight, so it may be worth the gamble these guys are trying to put together.
Yeah, but Jeff, I don't think that can win the race because right now Martin Truex is only 12 seconds behind David Green. So again, just the distance of pit road. Remember the access road 3 and 4 and in 1 and 2, he's still going to be a half to 3/4 of a lap behind. Maybe it'll better his finish, but it's not going to win the race.
And Larry, I misspoke a moment ago. This would be his 9th win if that strategy works. But as you said, that's quite a tall order for him to overcome 2 tires.
Yeah, and again, Martin Truex Jr., who's the car we're watching, he's in 3rd right now because Clint Boyer in the 21 still has to come to pit road in 2nd. He's made up almost 10 seconds in probably about 15 laps on David Green, and it's just fresh tires versus very old, wore-out tires. Riding with Martin Truex Jr. And right now, as far as cars that have tires equal to Martin Truex, as he rides in the 2nd place, they just went by Mike Bliss, is Ron Hornaday, who is now almost 4 seconds behind him. Right now, Martin Truex Jr., he wants this race to stay green. He's got the tires and fuel to go the distance.
We hear that Clint Boyer, who was running in the second place just a few laps ago, the 21 car, he finally comes to pit road for what he would anticipate being his final stop here with 33 laps to go. But once again, you got to tip your hat to that Reese's crew, Richard Childress Racing. Back on less than lap 15, it looks like they're probably going to be in the garage making repairs for 50 laps. Here, they're still on the lead lap.
Yep, Boyer was caught up on that first accident on lap number 3. Great job by that team. Ricky Byers and the whole number 21 bunch of Richard Childress Racing. There's David Green, the 1994 Series champ. We know he has to stop again.
You see right behind him, Greg Biffle in the 60 car. He's the first car a lap down, but he should go right by David Green. Right now, Biffle is back in the 13th position. Looks like David Green is coming to pit road. He has to hit the access road. Now, there's no pit road speed right here on this access road. You run as safe as you possibly can. It's not to the cones right here coming on the pit road. Right
there, you see him.
There, you have to get to 45 miles per hour, and this pit road goes forever, whether it's 2 tires or 4 tires.
So Green creeps down pit road, and he's headed towards Jeff Hammond.
David Green slides to the stop right there. The car, you can see, is pushing a little bit of steam out as the guys try to clean the grill. That piece of paper has been creating problems for that Pontiac of his all night long. 2 tires and away, as we said earlier. 1 can of gas, 2 tires only on the 37 car.
And right now, our leader, Mark Truex Jr., is in the middle of turn 3 and 4, and David Green is not to the access road, going through 1 and 2, so he's going to be very close to almost going a lap down by staying out there. Mark Truex Jr. drives off into turn 1, and David Green finally gets up to speed, so he's probably just going to be right in front of our leader, almost a lap down.
30 laps to go. Martin Truex Jr. trying to nail down his 3rd win of the 2004 season. We'll see if he can do it right after this. Closing laps of a Saturday night shootout here at Gateway, just outside of St. Louis. There's your leader, Martin Truex Jr. His lead, a little over 5 seconds on Ron Hornaday.
Greg Biffle in the 60 car, back in 8th position right now. Not too far behind him is Robbie Gordon in the 55 car. He's in 10th position as the last of the leaders come to pit road for their green flag stop. Stacy Compton at 59. This was going off into turn 1 about 5. Looked like Robbie Gordon. I don't know what Greg got into. It looked like Robbie Gordon just got loose getting in the corner. Greg may have gotten to him after he got loose, but these guys were battling for position. But when I look at those 2 cars, 100 laps ago, or not quite 100 laps ago, was 2 laps down. Now he's running in 8th. Robbie Gordon came in here 5th in points. Drives for Richard Childress Racing. In the beginning, they were only going to run Childress leased motors for those 24 races. Well, as he stayed up,
19 laps to go. Car. Jason Leffler, the double zeros, had a great night. He's in the 6th position.
In 5th position when the race started, and he's been right.
There's your leader, Martin Truex Jr. He's led for 104 laps here tonight at Gateway. We'll see if he can hang on for the win right after this. Laps to go for Martin Truex Jr. trying to win for the 3rd time in this 2004 season. Earlier wins coming in Bristol and then again at Talladega.
Right now, he is about 4.5 seconds ahead of Ron Hornaday, but I have to believe Kevin Bono Mannion, that group, they have tried to slow him down. Just no sense in pushing the envelope here. We'll keep you posted where Ron Hornaday is. Don't get yourself in trouble with lap traffic as you almost did several laps ago with Hermie Sadler. Goes underneath Casey Atwood in the 14 car. Casey's back in 22nd position right now. It's Kevin Bono Mannion.
He's got his shades on.
His future's so bright, he has to wear shades.
I'm so proud of you for picking up on that.
How about that? We've been together too long.
That's exactly right.
I tell you, that group has really pulled together. I just don't know if we can document that enough. It's almost like no matter who they put in these race cars, whether it's Dale Earnhardt Jr., as we see a big, huge battle here for 4th position. Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car goes underneath Kyle Busch in the 5. We had watched just a few laps ago where Bobby Hamilton Jr. was reeling him in, and now here with about 11 laps to go, he goes by. But I was going back to the 8 car, no matter who drives that race car, whether it was Tony Stewart at Michigan last year, Dale Earnhardt Jr., now Mark Truex Jr., these guys are always at the front bidding for the win.
On board with Mark Truex Jr., 10 laps away from the checkered flag. His lead nearly 6 seconds over Ron Hornaday Jr. Just 24 years old.
I saw his dad down in the garage area today. His dad's almost, there's not a race that we've been to that I've not seen Mark Truex Sr. at.
Jason Keller trying to nail down his best finish of the season. He's in the 3rd position. Jeff Hammond.
Right now, I'm taking a look as far as Jason Keller's concerned. And Wes Ward, I mean, he's trying to encourage his driver to get on up through there because they've got a really fast race car. And he said, man, I need about 20 more laps. I can win this thing. But right now, you see they're complaining to the NASCAR officials, telling them that lap traffic's really giving them a hard time. They need to get up there and get a little closer. They got a really good race car. If they finish 3rd, it'll be the best finish of the year. Up to then, it's only been 8. So they really got a good car tonight.
Yeah, Jeff, should nothing happen, I mean, he's about a 2.5 seconds behind Ron Hornaday, who's in 2nd, and he has about a 3-second lead on the 4th place car, Bobby Hamilton Jr. You know, we were talking about Mark Truex Sr. I just about bet he's down there hanging out in the pits right now, probably standing up on the wall. There you see him right there. A great racer himself. Looks pretty calm right now. He looks calmer than he did at Bristol a few months ago. Martin was going for that 1st win. So he'll come by the stripe this time. 7 laps to go.
Piece of sheet metal hanging off the right side of that car and all. It doesn't seem to matter. Jeff Hammond is in trouble on the 37.
And inside of the Jason Ratcliffe just buried his head inside his hands because the 37 car just lost a cylinder, guys. We've had a lot of engines go south tonight. Now the 37 car looks like he's going to be part of that group right now with only about 7.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's in 10th, Jeff, and yeah, he's fixing to be overtaken by our leader.
Six laps to go for Mark Truex Jr.
Now, when Mark Truex Jr. comes by the start-finish line the next time, that will be 5 to go, and we will be past the red flag window. The window that NASCAR gave the teams at the drivers' meeting was 5 laps. If we have a caution after 5 laps, we'll certainly work to get the race restarted, but no red flag. And now there is 5 laps to go for our leader, Mark Truex Jr., who is about 6.25 seconds ahead of Ron Hornaday in the 2 car. There you see he pulls up to the back of David Green. David right now is in the 11th position. And if he can nurse that thing home with that cylinder that's down, that would still be a pretty good finish for him considering he's only on 7 cylinders.
Yeah, absolutely. He's 4th in points. He needs a good night tonight. You know, Larry Mackey said earlier in the race, this event had never been won from the pole position. Martin Truex Jr. could change that here shortly.
I would say he's going to change a lot of things. Okay, we got quite a battle going on for the 5th position. Kyle Busch in the 5 car. 00, Jason Leffler was starting to reel him in just a few laps ago, but now the last couple laps, Kyle Busch is starting to pull away just a little bit. Right now there's about a second differential in it. But this would be a good run for Jason Leffler in that 00 car, Buddy Barker.
You know, Larry, racing, I believe, is no different than other sports. It's all about momentum. It's hard to get, hard to keep.
It really is. It's hard to get. It's very hard to keep, trust me. Martin Truex Jr. about 2.5 laps to go. Next time, Bobby, 2 laps to go. And he has a pretty clean racetrack in front of him now. Don't have a lot of lap traffic out there to deal with.
Lead of almost 6 seconds over Ron Hornaday. Look how calm his hands are on that steering wheel, Larry.
Seems very relaxed and at home in there. There he's third gear, just as we've seen drivers doing all night long. About halfway up the backstretch here, lap and a half to go. You'll see him reach over there and slide it into 4th gear. Just kind of taking care of everything. Next time will be white flag. 1 lap to go for Martin Truex Jr. in that 8 car. Goes by Robbie Gordon in the 55 car. Now Robbie is in the 10th position, so he's still in the top 10.
White flag. Here we go. 4 more corners. Truex Jr. trying to become the 6th different driver to win a Busch Series race here in Gateway.
Pretty much with a half a lap to go. Nobody in front of him, nobody behind him. You just don't need to get in trouble in here in 3 and 4. Eases through the middle of 3 and 4. Throttle up. You see him hit this pretty much coast home from there. And of all these people here, nobody is sitting down.
Everybody on their feet cheering Martin Truex Jr.'s 3rd win of the 2004 season.
Ron Hornaday looks like he will come home in 2nd. Jason Keller in 3rd. Bobby Hamilton Jr. in 4th. Kyle Busch in 5th. Jason Leffler in 6th.
Look at that. He had the H shape in the back of his head. That's a fan.
Yes, it is. There he is. Greg be 7th. David Strimmy good up 8th. As we saw, Robbie finishes 10th, 1 lap down. Green in 11th. Say we're going to see a few here on the front stretch of Gateway.
And with that win, Truex Jr. the point for the first time. Michael Waltrip by 11 points.
For the first time in his career.
It's a short career.
Yeah, Michael Waltrip, 14.99.
Had 122 laps of 200.
Dominant fashion. He sat on the pole. He led the most laps. I don't know what else you can do.
He spanked them.
Yes, he did. There you see that group heading to a place they're getting pretty used to, Victory Lane.
Let's take a look at your updated point standings. 11 points over Michael Waltrip. He takes that lead. Kyle Busch is 3rd.
Robbie Gordon hangs on to 5th. With that 10th place finish, and David Green, by nursing that thing home, he holds on to 4th. I mean, it's still tight 1st through 5th. 88 points separating those guys. Greg Biffle moves up 1 notch from 10th. Remember, these guys chase for the championship. It's the normal chase for the championship. It's all 34 races. There is no shootout.
Fireworks off the backstretch. Martin Truex, a smoky burnout John Force would be proud of.
Fireworks on the back stretch, burnouts on the front stretch.
Now that's a burnout.
It is. But you know, he's had pretty good practice so far this year.
This is his 3rd time. Gives the crowd a wave.
Fans love those burn.
And I mean, these racetracks that he's winning at, never had seen Gateway till they came up here weeks ago and tested. You just have to believe testing paid off.
And by the way, I think he's got some.
I think so.
Junior makes his way lane.
And you know, I got my hat to NASCAR. They called here and do this. And I think we're a great show tonight, a great race format.
Nick Berggren
with Ron and you battle. What would be in the car you were going at?
I don't know where the quality